One of the great things that I will do with you guys is to bring the truth or elements of the truth and simplify it. It is so simple. The reason why it is, I bring it to simplify it, because at the simplest, what's the word? At its most simple form is when it's most tangible. You see, the truth's not tangible, but it's at its most simple, that you may grasp it in a tangible form, meaning that you may be able to actually live it. It's going to be handed to you so simple. But the thing is, what's simple to do is also simple not to do. Sometimes we think, oh, it's so simple. So don't miss it because it's simple. It's always simple. The truth is simple. We just complicate it within our pursuit of it. It is simple. So today we're going to open up this can of the reflections. We're going to be speaking about reflections to simplify this idea, this philosophy of reflection to its most simplest form. So you can walk away from here just going, yep, that's what it is, that's why it is. But then it just it brings it to your fingertips to be able to use, to be able to acknowledge, to be able to become aware of. Whether you use it then in your month, it's up to you. Last month we spoke about love. It was very profound, very simple, very deep. What you did with it in the month, it's completely up to you. Completely. That's where the ball falls in your court. I just want to remind you that if you have any questions or shares or comments, please raise your hand first. Now that we have the microphones, you can't just scream it out. So I'll just remind you, raise your hands, and I will let you know to hand the mic over to you. So I just want to remind you about that. So here we go. Let's go. Let's go with this topic of reflections. So here's my question to you guys as a group, before we can open this up. Why do we need reflections? Why, as an infinite being, did you manifest a reality of duality so you could see yourself? Why? And you know, this is not, you know, we're going to go deeper. This is not kindergarten. We understand that the external world is a reflection of our inner world. We know that stuff, right? Yes? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So your external world is a direct reflection of your inner world. All right? Now, I say we all know that stuff. We don't all actually know it. When I say actually know it, actually own it. Because many of us are still in this world, you know, we see like we have a rash on our face, and then we go, oh, I've got a rash on my face, and then you go get some cream to soothe the rash, and you put it on the mirror. And you're wondering, why isn't the rash getting better? You're looking in the mirror and putting the cream onto the mirror. We're still doing that. So it is one thing to know that the external world is a reflection, and there's another thing to actually own it. To own what you know. To be it. To become it. To live it. So yes, I understand you can grasp that, but this is about now owning it. So my first question is, why did you, as an infinite being, manifest yourself into this experience where you could see yourself in a reflection within the physical experience? The physical experience being your environment, you being other people, being the universe? Why did you manifest something so you can see your mirror? Microphone, please.
To see where we've given our power away.
Okay. To see where we've given our power away. Okay.
In the illusion.
Yep.
Where there's so much power to reclaim.
Okay, great. So to see where we've given our power away. What else? Thank you. Why do that? Why create a mirror so you can see yourself? Why would you need to see yourself? Microphone.
To evolve into our true spiritual self.
To evolve in our true spiritual self. So why would you need to see yourself to evolve?
Well, it's all a bit of a, it's not real anyway. The mirror that we see is not, it's an illusion.
I understand. So there's this, the mirror is an illusion. So form, physical, matter is an illusion, we understand. But through matter, you are manifesting an experience of seeing your reflection. Why? So in the WTF experience, so thank you. In the WTF experience, we have grasped that everything, not just in the WTF experience, it's science, that the physical world is empty space. That physical matter is 99.99% empty space. But within that empty space is energy. And that energy is using the physical form, being a shadow, if you like, to reflect something back to you. Why? And it's, when I say it's an illusion, it's like me standing in front of the mirror and forgetting which one is real. Is the mirror looking, if you stare into yourself in the mirror for long enough, you forget which one and you stay completely still, you lose yourself in the mirror and you think the mirror is the one that's real. What's being projected, what's being reflected is the mirror. Your perception becomes about the mirror, what you're seeing in the mirror to be real. But the mirror is just energy, if you like. The external world is just energy. And that energy just reflects back. And it's reflecting back completely something different to every single person. There is about, 20, 30 people here right now. How many people do we have here? 30. There's 30 people here right now. There is 30 different versions of what I'm actually saying through your reflection. There is 30 different perceptions of what's actually being said. Can you grasp that? If you can grasp that, you understand that the only person that is here to wake up is you, not anyone else of this world. It's you. Because everyone of this world is just a direct reflection or an indirect reflection of you. You see, I'm saying something right now. And as I'm saying, 30 people are hearing something different. But you may go to the person next to you and go, did you hear what I heard? And then you will manifest in that mirror to go, yes, I heard exactly that. So then you go, well, we're all hearing the same thing. What's he talking about? Only you need to wake up and realize you're not what's being reflected in the mirror. You are the one reflecting into the mirror being your physical world. You are the one reflecting into the mirror. You are not what's being reflected. You are not what's being reflected is merely like a shadow. That's why I keep referring as the physical world as a shadow. And you think, well, no, the shadow is not real. Well, yeah. The shadow's not real. Microphone, just hold it for a sec. If you can grasp that, you understand why you're not here to fix, improve, or change the world. You're not here to get anyone in the world to wake up. You're here to wake up yourself. Because as you change, as you wake up, you begin to reflect something completely different through other people. Not just other people, through your environment. Somebody will see that it's raining, it's thunderstorm. You look at it and wow, look at the beauty in the thunderstorm. Isn't that magnificent? And then someone else is like, it's fucking raining all the time, for example. Or you know, somebody always tells you, be careful of that person. You know, that person is a bad person, or don't do business with that person. But then you have an experience with that person, and you reflect something completely different. And you're like, what were they talking about? They're a wonderful person, they are. Can you see what I'm saying? Rachel sitting next to me here, Miss Dicko, we call her. Rachel sitting here is not Rachel. Rachel is just energy. And Rachel is reflecting to, let's say, Heather, something completely different to me. I look into Rachel, I see something different. Heather looks into Rachel, she sees something completely different. Why? Because Heather will see herself and I will see myself. The question is, who are you? Who are you? Are you the perception of what's being reflected, or have you yet come to realize that you are the one reflecting? That's the question. Who are you still? So therefore, it's not Dicko, Rachel that needs to wake up. It's got to do with me and what I'm reflecting. And then I will manifest Sean to come up to me and go, yeah, she's a great girl, da 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 da. For example, Heather might be like, I don't know about her. She seems a bit, you know. And then Heather will manifest Wendy, because Wendy's another reflection. And from Wendy we're like, I don't know about Rachel. She's a little bit, I don't know, to the left. And then Heather goes, that's what I thought. See, I knew it. And I say to Sean, hey, have you met Rachel? Great girl, yeah. I think so too. Just an example. But all Rachel, Dicko, all she is just energy. And that energy manifests itself to, I manifest that energy to reflect something in myself. And it reflects through form. The form, the physical, is the mirror. Wendy.
I feel that...
Just keep it on the chin.
I feel that I manifested the group because I have forgotten who I am and where I came from. And in that and I've always been searching and not known what I was actually searching for. And I have not been aware of what we've been talking about in the group, not at first. But I feel now I have a deeper understanding, although in that understanding I'm still searching.
I understand. And right now, when you just said something, you reflected something completely different for 30 people. Some of you would have felt something different. Some of you would have felt, again, something different from someone else. Great, thanks for sharing. So, yes, it's a reflection. And we're going to be talking, there's 3 types of reflections. We're going to be talking about that. That's what we're here to talk about. The 3 types of reflections. So you can then go, oh, that's that reflection. And what is the purpose of that reflection? And how do I respond to that reflection? We're going to be talking about that later on. But the first thing is why manifest a reflection? Why manifest an experience where you need to see yourself so the only answer we've had so far is because we need to reclaim our power. We can see where we've put our power. That was what Sandy said. So why did you put your powers somewhere, Monty?
To experience ourselves as the infinite, we need to lose ourselves in the finite and experience these reflections so we can learn how to find ourselves as the infinite.
Okay, very good, thank you. Excellent answer. Anyone else? Anyone else have a version of that answer? Can we explore that a bit more? Okay. So, in the beginning, there was one infinite energy. Speak about this all the time. Let's go back down to this concept. There was one infinite energy. And there can only be one infinite, because if it's infinite, there can only be one. There can't be two, because if there's two, then it's not infinite anymore, it is finite. So that's why there's only one. Can't be two. Just one. But this one infinite energy manifested a part of itself through its own imagination, through consciousness. The one infinite energy manifested a part of itself into billions of parts. And the moment it manifested itself into billions of parts, it then loses, through the world of perception, it loses itself. Each part becomes an identity. Then each part plays a role. Plays a role to reflect not each part, but to reflect the whole. To reflect the whole. So as Sandy said, so in other words, we've put you as the infinite being has manifested itself into billions of parts and then put your power into each part. But each part is disguising the power. It's disguised it. Why is it disguised it? Because so you perceive to be separate from it. Why? Why do we do that? Why did the one infinite energy manifest itself into billions of parts and disguise is part to be separate. So that each part perceives to have its own identity, perceives to be separate, but then for each part to then be able to see the truth, move the disguise, move the costume, and see its own reflection. And as it sees its own reflection, that is the term of reclaiming its power. At first, it sees a reflection of its own costume. It's like me wearing a mask, and I stand in front of the mirror and I see a reflection of my mask. But I have to remove the mask to be able to see the reflection of the true, what I like to call the direct reflection. And when I see the direct reflection, it becomes like this. When you see the direct reflection or the complete reflection, it's as though I am a wave of an ocean and I rise up as a wave and another wave rises up as a wave. If I see the other wave as a wave, I see the costume, the form of it. But if I can see that I am not the wave, but I am the ocean, then what will I see when I look at the other wave? The ocean. So you came and lost yourself in the form of a wave, but you're here to realize that you are not the wave, you are the ocean. Which then allows you to be infinite again, but in the form, infinite through form. You had a question? Just wait for the microphone.
I was going to say, in that moment, you can choose who you're being.
How do you mean?
So you can choose what you just explained. You can choose to either be the drop or be the ocean.
In that moment, when the two waves, and this is what we're ultimately going to today, we're talking about the two waves rising up and no longer seeing two waves, but seeing one ocean. In that moment, you're not the drop, you're the ocean. You're the ocean moving both waves. All right. I think as we delve deeper and deeper, you'll come to realize why you created a mirror. At this stage, you understand, well, you created a mirror, you manifested this reflection, so you can manifest the reflection of your own mask. And once you've removed the mask, you can manifest the reflection of yourself, of the infinity. So we'll come back to that to make that more defined or more clearer, if you like. Why did I manifest a reflection? I think as we go deeper, your answer will be realized of why you manifested the reflection. But let's start talking about the reflection. As I mentioned, there's three versions of reflection, or if you like, three different types of reflection. The first type of reflection is an indirect reflection. So it's not a direct reflection, it's an indirect reflection. How do you know when something is a reflection of you? Let's define that. I mean, I know everything is a reflection. When I talk about an indirect reflection, what I mean by that, it's an incomplete reflection. So it's, in other words, a reflection of your own judgments. It's a reflection of your own attachments. How do you know when it's an indirect reflection? How do you know that you're having an experience of reflecting something? Is there, I'll come to you in a moment. Microphone over here. How do you know?
When there's a thought or emotion in response.
So there's a thought or an emotion to
whatever the attention is on.
So there's a thought or emotion to the response, you said. Is that right?
So if we're talking about the indirect reflection, something outside of yourself,
yeah.
Then if you're having a thought or an emotion and your attention is on this external reflection, then it is that partial reflection that you're talking about.
Okay, so the partial reflection. Okay, great. Let's go deeper. I need to define it more. Because I want you guys to go, because what does that mean? It's a thought or reflection. I want you to be able to go, there it is. That's an indirect reflection. That's a reflection of my, what I like to call it, okay, here's a clue for you, is that's a reflection of my disowned parts. Disowned parts. It's an incomplete reflection. It's a reflection of your disowned part. Can I just remind everyone to get real present? Be here. There's nowhere else to be, so just be here. Microphone? No. Okay, sorry, I'll come to you in a moment. Heather?
The reflection is actually something you have a charge around.
Okay.
Something you've created.
Okay, great. So a disowned or an indirect reflection is a reflection that you have a charge, a reaction about. Great, thank you.
My comment was the same. When there's a judgment around it, then it's an incomplete reflection.
Okay, so it's really easy to see a reflection of a charge when it's negative. Yes? So when you see something in someone else that you, through your perception, you manifest a negative experience in you, it's easy to see, well, I have a charge. But what about when it's a positive? So I want you to go deeper, and so we can really define this. What about when it's a positive? How do you know it's a reflection? The clue is in it's disowned. Remember I said you need to own it. It's disowned. The clue's in that. And there's no use me telling you the answer. This is a philosophy circle, a truth circle. You got to start digging deep within yourself. Microphone, who had the hand up? Monty?
Something you have a judgment on?
Okay, yes. It is something you have a judgment on.
As soon as it triggers anything within you.
So as soon as you're having a reaction?
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. But what about if it's a positive? Is it the trigger is different if it's a positive. So that's why I want you to be able to go, you know, because both are a reflection. Microphone?
It feels different. So the part that I disengage from is the part of me that I don't love.
Okay, so your disengaged or disowned part is a part of you that you have not become whole with.
Yeah, so that's why I have that's why I have reflected all the people around me so that I can see through them the part of me that I don't love and the part of me that I do love.
I understand. So how do you know it is a part of you that's you love, or a part of you that you don't love?
It feels different.
I understand. Pass on the mic to Rachel. It does feel different, but why? I want you to be able to go, this is why it feels different.
You have a need or an attachment to it.
You have a need. So this, when you realize the answer and you put your finger on the answer, this is why you have a need or attachment to it. All right, so microphone over here. When you realize the answer that we are coming to, that answer is why you create a need or an attachment to it. Yes?
Because it feels like something you don't have. It's not part of you. It feels like they have it and you don't have it, but you want it or you need it because it's good.
That's it. It feels like it's something that you don't have. It feels like something, if you want to word that more clearer, something that is not a part of you. Therefore, it is disowned. What you see in someone else, you don't own that. So that's why it's called disowned. If it's a negative, you're like, that's not something I own. If it's a positive, so if it's a negative, you're like, I don't want that, and nor do I have that. If it's a positive, you're like, oh, I really like this about this person. They're such a beautiful person. They're so giving. They're just really present. But you're seeing it in another, but not in yourself. And you're like, well, I'm not like that. I would like to be like that. And I envy that person, but I don't have that. You see? The common thread is that when it's a disowned part, it's a part that you see you don't own. So if it's a negative thing, you're like, you're having a reaction and you think to yourself, I don't have that, nor do you want it. If it's a positive thing, you're feeling envy and you're going, oh, I really appreciate that, but you're feeling the appreciation towards someone else. You're not feeling that appreciation in yourself for someone else. So you're going, oh, I feel that appreciation only when I'm around this person. They make me feel so good. I want those traits, but you think you don't own them. It's disowned. Can you see what I'm saying? Microphone,
yeah, I was
we'll come back around.
going to say separation, when you feel a separation from it.
Absolutely. And therefore, so you don't feel like you own it, so it feels separate. That's what creates the attachment. And what was the other word you said? Need. The agenda, the attachment, and the need, because it's disowned. This is an indirect reflection. Microphone?
So if you do own it, then there's no charge around it. There's no emotion. There's no recognition. Is that right?
Good question, which is what we're going to go to next, which is a direct reflection. So the first one we just discussed, and I just want to discuss it a bit more. All right, so you just moved on to the next one. The first one that I want to discuss is the indirect reflection. So the indirect reflection is something you don't own, but it could be negative or positive. Most times we're thinking just the negative things, but positive too. Okay, now here's the truth about this. The fact that you can see it in another means you have it. Do you understand? So we can grasp this on the negative, and you guys have been around for a little while now. So if you're having a negative reaction towards your mirror, your external world, your physical experience, if you're having a negative reaction, and it's not just around people, it's around circumstances, it's around environments. The fact that you can have a negative reaction, or you see a negativity in some form, a limitation in some form, the fact that you can see it in another means that you have it. The fact that you can see a positive in another and you think, oh, I really love that about this person. You know, what a wonderful thing. I just love that about that person. The fact that you can see it means you have it, but you've disowned it. You see it as separate to you. You haven't yet gone, oh, that's I have that. Can everyone grasp that? It's very simple, isn't it? So we started with, well, you have a thought or emotion around it. Well, how do you simplify? If we keep going around the circle, we simplify, go deeper. It's very simple. But that thought or emotion is very simple. It's a thought or emotion of something that you think you don't have. But it is, you cannot see something unless you have it. You cannot see it. So that is a disowned reflection. Okay? Why is it disowned? Because you, as the one, manifested yourself into billions of parts. Those parts became disowned parts. They became parts that are outside of you, separate to you. They are no longer your parts. Some of them will reflect parts of yourself, all right, which we're going to talk about that, a direct reflection. Some of them, the indirect reflection, is reflecting parts of yourself that you have not become one with yet. Parts of yourself that you have not owned yet. It is an indirect reflection. So the question then comes, well, how do you own it? But first you've got to grasp that it is a disowned part. First you've got to grasp, and you've got to get your head around that. You got to sit down and meditate or ponder on that for a sec. You know, you got to have the realization, yeah, that's true. If I can see it, it means I have it. If I have a positive reaction to my mirror, it means I have it. If I have a negative reaction to my mirror, it means I have it. I wouldn't be feeling it unless I had that. And we understand, you know, we're not kindergarten, we're not doing kindergarten consciousness here. We understand that the mirror is not real. The mirror is now it is real as an infinite energy. Yes. See, when I say it's not real, some people get lost and they go, what do you mean it's not real? It is real. Yes, it's real, but the form of it is not real. The form of it is just your reflection. What you see in the other is just your reflection. You have to work that part out. Once you know for yourself that yes, if I see it, I've already got it. You see, the moment you know that, you will own it. Microphone. So my question is now, how can we see it? How can we own it? How can you own something that you perceive, that you see as a disowned part? You perceive that you don't own it. You perceive that I don't have that. May I remind you one thing before we start opening this part up? The reflection is never around what you see, although that can be a signpost. What you see with your human eyes, you know, in the physical, it's a signpost. It's not around that. The true reflection, or the true direct or indirect reflection, comes around in how you feel. Does that make sense? So it's not, well, I don't have hatred towards animals, for example. So that's not my reflection. It's not about having hatred about the animals. It's about how you feel about the person who has hatred against the animals. That's, giving you an example here, how you feel about it is your reflection. I want to remind you about that. Okay? The physical is just signposts to your reflection. The truest form of reflection is in the formless, is in the feeling you have towards the signpost. The signpost, the shadow, the physical world is just mirroring. The mirror is felt. The mirroring is not, oh, that's not me, that's not who I am. It's not. The mirror is in how you feel about that. I don't cheat on my partner. I am loyal. That him cheating on me is not a reflection of me. No, that's just the signpost, the role that your partner played, the role that they played was to cheat on you. So you can have a reflection of yourself feeling cheated. It's a part of yourself that you've disowned. I don't cheat. Maybe you cheat yourself. Where are you cheating yourself? Can you see how many different ways this can... It's really stuff that you got to sit down and grasp for yourself. You got to really sit down through the month. If any month you got to sit down and ponder on what's been said, it's this month, because it goes into it breaks out into like branches of a tree.
So just following on with what you're saying, so obviously it's recognizing it, then distinguishing what it really is to you, and then I think the next part is just being open to it, because I think sometimes if we think that it's something negative or something that we don't have, then we just want to shut down and not think about it and just ignore it. So just really staying open and being okay with however that feels to us.
So what was the first thing? The first thing you said
recognizing and distinguishing for what it really is, which is what you just said.
How do you distinguish for what it really is? Okay, so what she's saying there about distinguishing for what it is, what Elizabeth is saying is that you're distinguishing, you're realizing the feeling you have towards that. Because the reflection of what it really is in the feeling. If you're looking at the surface or at the story, you're like, I don't cheat. I'm not a terrorist. Those terrorists in the world, there's not a reflection. I don't go to war. Yeah, but how does that war make you feel? What is your feeling towards it? And don't just go to the surface feeling, drop in a little bit. If you drop in a little bit, you're like, oh my God, I'm at war with myself, or I'm at war with my sister, or I'm at war with, you know, evil, or whatever. It's a reflection. So that's a good little step-by-step thing Elizabeth said. So first you recognize it. So recognizing means bringing awareness that, okay, I'm feeling, or I'm having this positive or negative reaction towards this. How is this a mirror of me? What is it mirroring? All you're trying to do is you manifested yourself into billions of parts. All the parts became disowned parts. Every part now plays a role. And guess what each part is playing a role in doing? Each part is playing a role in being loving in order to be loved. Each part is playing a role of manipulating and not manifesting, what's the word, just slipped from my mind. Let's just go with manipulating. Because the moment each part is a part, I'll come to you in a sec, just bring your attention here. The moment each part becomes a part, and we spoke about this last month, then each part, it begins to look for itself, it begins to reflect yourself in playing a role, and the role it plays is being loving or doing the loving thing in order to be loved. We spoke about this last month. The difference between true unconditional love versus a love that's separate. A love that feels separate. Conditional love. Human love. Well, the human love is, well, you be loving towards your partner, for example, in order to be loved. You be loving in the world in order to be loved. But something that's already loved doesn't need to be loving. it's in its state of being that it is loving. So each part plays a role, and that role is reflected. Like you can see its reflection through the animal kingdom. One role plays the snake, one role plays the whale, one role plays the lion, one role plays, it even reflects in the animal. Everything in the physical world is a reflection. Even the universe, they say the universe is expanding. That is a direct reflection. The emptiness that I continuously talk about is not the emptiness in the universe, although science will reflect it as, well, it's the emptiness. The emptiness is just in the universe. But the universe itself is not infinite. Did you know that? The universe, our physical universe, all that empty space is not infinite. Why? Because that is a reflection of the infinite. The universe itself is expanding. Who's heard that? Our universe, yeah, but this infinite part of you that I'm talking to you about, that's this emptiness, this formless, is already infinite. But this infinite part of you has manifested itself into physical form, and now it's beginning to expand its awareness of who it truly is, and that is being reflected in the universe as the universe is expanding. So don't confuse what I'm saying as the universe, as the physical universe. Anything of the physical is a reflection. So the universe expanding is a reflection of consciousness becoming aware of itself. Because consciousness is already expanded. It's now becoming aware that it is expanded. And its expansion grows. Like we spoke about this in last month. Or the month before, I think it was last month. You become aware of your expandedness. You're not actually expanding. Your awareness is expanding. Your awareness is expanding and you're becoming aware that you are expanded. Because you're already infinite. Does that make sense? Maybe a little bit, tiny bit. What the fuck are you talking about? So what I'm trying to say, the animal kingdom, for example, is a reflection of every little part, and every little part is manipulating. It's just manipulation. It is in flight or fight mode because it's a part, it's a separate. Each molecule is fighting for existence. Each physical part is fighting, and its existence is fighting, it's doing things to find love. And you need to refer to love last month. It's doing the loving thing to do, because when it does the loving thing to do, it receives love. That's not infinite love. Did you have a question?
There's been a bit of talk about the shadow, and if we actually look at our shadow and accept our shadow, then we get power out of that, don't we?
And getting power out of it means that, you see, when you have a shadow, like for example, it depends where the sun is, right? I'm giving you a metaphor here. The sun is on this side, right? The shadow's there. When the sun goes on this side, one I'm referring to the past, one I'm referring to the future. And when the sun goes over here in the future, the shadow's over there. Okay? But there's a place, all right, where the shadow disappears. Where's that?
With acceptance. It's
right above, right above. When the sun is completely above you, there's no shadow. Now, what is that? I referred past and future. This is presence. You can only own your disowned parts when you're in the present moment. It becomes disowned. It becomes owned, the moment you're present. It's only when you are in your state of mind is not in this moment. When it's in the past, the future, that you have a shadow. But you and the shadow become one in the moment. There's no shadow. When the sun is directly above you, reflecting in the metaphor as completely present, there's no shadow. Or when it's just a little bit out of presence, there's a little shadow. But when you're way in the past, the shadow gets long, big. It becomes bigger than you. Oh my God, look at that shadow. Or when you go way into the future, the shadow goes long that way. We spoke about the presence in love last month. When it's completely in the present moment, there's no shadow. So, did we turn the mic aircon off? No. Hold 1 moment. So, how do you own the part of you that is disowned? Which is what reclaiming power means. It's disowned, so then your power is outside of you. Because every little part, positive or negative, is power. The reason you're having a reaction is because you're having a reaction towards your power. The power manifests itself in the perception that is positive and negative. Okay? The thing is, it's not positive or negative, it's just your perception. You see, I learned a lot about cameras this weekend because we had to buy a second and possibly a third camera for our actuality show that we're doing, and I'm trying to buy a bigger camera, and they're like, it's not the size of the camera that counts. I'm like, okay. I thought, the bigger the camera, they go, it's the size of the lens, and I was like, well, what do you mean? Like, they're trying to teach me. They say the camera just records. It's the lens that determines the perception or how the camera sees. So the lens that you have in front of you is just your perception of the parts of yourself that you've disowned. So let's say you find a part of yourself that you disowned. In other words, you see a positive, you're having a positive experience or a negative experience that is being reflected in your external world. What do you do? What do you do to own it? How do you reclaim your power? And you're seeing a part of your power, a part of yourself in the external world. What do you do to own it? To own what you've disowned?
So whatever emotion you're feeling, whether it's, say, anger, you embrace that feeling and become one with it.
Yep.
In that moment, you've reclaimed your power.
Okay.
You drop through that feeling into oneness.
So what about if it's a positive?
It's the same thing.
Okay.
Accepting the same thing, embracing the feeling, acknowledging that it's just being present and embracing the emotion, whether it's positive or negative.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sandy. John, did you have a same answer? Anyone else? Any other different answers?
I find sometimes if I know there's story going on in my head, blah, 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 then that's the sign of something. So there's something going on for me recently where I've gone noticing it and then just being with, okay, well, what's under the story? So sometimes it takes a while to get to the feeling.
Yep.
And now I've kind of gotten to the feeling and just noticing how much I want to go back to, oh no, but it's the story.
Yeah.
And now that I've gotten back to the feeling, I thought I'd be a lot more upset about the circumstances, but it's just now, oh, okay. So that's what I was doing. So
yep.
I can now let go of those circumstances. So I suppose, getting back to the feeling and then being with it, and then it seems like freedom arises from that.
Yeah.
So.
Very good. Thank you very much. So it's getting back to the feeling. So here's another thing. Get back to the root of the feeling. So where's the root? Where's the root of the feeling? Because the feeling is like a plant, and then it's, sprouted out a weed, if you like, in this metaphor. And it's, you don't want to go cut the top of the weed, do you? You want to go to the root of the weed. So where's the root?
My example of the anger came from a recent thing. I don't get many charges anymore, but recently I got a big charge about a similar thing. And I felt the anger, but underneath was the hurt that I was not being treated properly.
Yep. Okay, very good.
But I did feel really angry, but I saw the hurt and the repeated pattern, which hadn't come up for a long time.
Very
which
good.
kind of amazed me a bit because it doesn't happen very often. It's a bit of a shock when another one comes up.
Thank you. Perfect, yes.
Just a question, if you're digging for the root, does that not mean that you're not being okay with it? You're not accepting?
So what do you define digging for the root? I didn't say dig for the root, I just said go for the root.
That was my perception. So, okay, my perception of looking for the root is to look inside yourself, as she explained, to look what is the underlying cause, which means you have to dig to find what that is, which to me tells me that
So you're
I'm not
digging for the
accepting.
cause.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not what I'm talking about. But thanks, that's a good point because everyone would have thought the same thing. Dig for the cause. If you like, but let me make this metaphor a little bit more. Dig below the root. Dig within. Don't even dig. Go to the place where the soil is. See? Go to the place where the soil is. It's almost like, well, you go below. You have the weed here sprouting out. Go below where the soil is. Microphone? Sorry, who had...
Do you mean that by digging for the cause, for instance, what we're talking about, that you're still caught up in the story? You're still looking for a reason why you feel like that because you need to blame something?
Yeah. So digging is still in the story?
Yeah.
Yep. Microphone? Oh, sorry, I'll come back.
The root is in the feeling, in the body.
Okay. The root is in the feeling. Yes? Elizabeth?
So I was just going to say the same. It's not about getting to the cause, but getting to the actual feeling. So the cause is the story or whatever's happened, the history, whereas the actual feeling sometimes, and particularly with anger, it's usually heard underneath it. So there's no story there. It's just about figuring out what the actual feeling is, or what that first feeling is masking. That's the first thing. The second thing that came to me was another way that I think about it is that when you actually remind or remember who you really are, then you separate yourself from that.
Yes, which is...
the other way.
Which is going to the soil, if you like.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like the breath coming into the body versus the body taking the breath.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yep. Okay. One more. Microphone behind you.
It's really finding what you're not owning. And sometimes that it does take some sitting with. It's like allowing, I guess, that infinite to come through you and give you
Where
that.
can the infinite come through you? Where we?
It's through that. It's through that feeling.
Where do you have to be for the infinite to come through?
Present. So, I had a situation in January where my son disappeared 15-year-old son disappeared for 3 days. And I knew I wouldn't find him, and he came home, and I was searching because I knew he was reflecting something at me. And he came home and he took one look at me, and I thought, uh-oh, I haven't sorted this out. Because soon after he went off again for another day. And I had to meditate for 2 hours to find what it was I wasn't owning. And as soon as I had finished that meditation, within about 15 minutes, he rang up and said, "Can I come home now?" So it was being really, really present with it, and not... Sometimes it really is deep. And just sitting. It's...
Yep. Thank you. So that's all it is. When you come back to the present, you're coming, what I call the root of it. You're going below. The soil is the presence. The reason you're having a reaction, the reason you're having a disowned part is because you're not present. Here's the thing. Try to grasp what I'm saying here. Okay? We've spoken for months that who you truly are is the infinite. We've spoken for months that the infinite, or love, can only be experienced in the present moment. We've spoken so much about being present. So the thing is, when you come back to being the present moment, right, on the surface level, there'll always be weeds. You cut the weeds out, there will still be more weeds. You know, who has a weed-free garden? You know, give it time, more weeds will come. You're like, I fucking pulled every fucking root out. It's still more weeds will come. But you go down here, you go deeper, where the soil is, where there's no weeds, right? Then the weeds that there is, it becomes irrelevant to you. Last month we spoke about expanding your space. We spoke about last month that love is all about space. So we said, it's like we said when sewage goes, why do we put sewage into the ocean? Because there's all that space. And when you put the sewage into the ocean, it becomes irrelevant. I gave some bad examples last month, but you know, it's the only thing that maybe I've got a dirty mind. But if I piss in my cup here, is it going to affect the water? Yes. Would I drink it? No. But if I pissed while I was in the ocean, is it going to affect it? It becomes irrelevant. When you're in the present moment, okay, it's like you become expanded. You go back to your awareness of how expanded you are. And in that moment, the direct reflection you're having becomes irrelevant. Then you start manifesting, the indirect reflection. Then you start manifesting something different. I said there's an indirect reflection. I said we're going to speak about the direct reflection and the complete reflection. So what you're manifesting in your life through your circumstances, through your environments, through people in your life, what you're reflecting changes based on where you are. The reason I get people to feel is because feeling is the door that will get you into the present moment. Reacting to the feeling takes you back into the story, takes you back into that long shadow. And you keep chasing the shadow. Come here, you little... And you chase it. And what happens when you chase the shadow? That's what most people do. When they're trying to fix, improve, or change the circumstances that's causing them to have the feelings, they're just chasing a shadow. But the shadow is only there to reflect to you that you're not in presence. But the moment you go into the presence, there's no shadow. So the reason we get people to feel some of the emotions they're having is because if they don't feel, they're just going to stay in the shadow. If they start to feel, they're starting to draw closer to present moment. Everything's got to do with being present. As you become expanded, or as your awareness becomes expanded of who you are, you expand your awareness and become aware of your expandedness, your ability to stay present for longer becomes greater. That's what it is. You stay more in the present moment. Even in the under pressure situations, you stay present, where someone else would normally have a reaction. The weeds are still there, but you're present. So what I'm trying to say to you is that the most powerful way to own what you've disowned is to go back to here. Go back to here and tell me what you got to own. The only reason you're reflecting a disowned part is because you are in a part of you that is separate. Come back to this moment, reconnect with who you are, your reflection changes. And when I say your reflection changes, the same story might still be playing out, but your reaction to that story changes, which is what the reflection is. It's your reaction to that story. Everything comes down to love. Love is here. It's not there, it's not in the shadow, it's here. Bring your attention back to here and tell me what the problem is. Which is what I'm going to talk about next. What happens when you are here? your reflection changes. What does it change to? It becomes a direct reflection rather than an indirect reflection. An indirect reflection is when I'm looking in the mirror. This is probably the best example I can give. It's like if me and Rachel were standing in front of the mirror together, my indirect reflection is I am seeing Rachel, not next to me, but in the mirror. It's like it's an indirect. And Rachel sees not me next to her, but across in the mirror. You know, you stand in the mirror and you can see someone else. Do you understand? That's the best example I can give. When you're standing in the mirror, you can't see yourself because you're on an angle, but you can see someone else. That's an indirect. A direct reflection is when I'm standing directly in front of the mirror and I just see myself. Okay, just remember that. And after the break, I'm going to start peeling the layers of the onion back to talk about, well, what is the direct reflection? At this stage, does anyone have any questions about the indirect reflection? As we start to peel this deeper or peel the layers back, can you see why you're manifesting the mirror? Question? Microphone, please.
So I just wanted to ask, if you have the same, and everyone does, the same thing that you have a charge around, if you sit with it, then that charge, then that would stop, that indirect reflection would just cease to occur?
Okay, so here's the thing. If you have a charge against something, which is a reaction you're having to a part of yourself that you've disowned, the most powerful way to own that is to get yourself back into the present moment. However, if your charge is big, you can't get back into the present moment, right? You're like,
that's what I'm saying, yeah.
Okay, I can't. So therefore, you need to go through the whole process of reclaiming the power, okay? So that's what I do, right? If I'm giving you the most powerful way right now, all right? But I'm glad you brought that up. But if you're having a reaction still, you can't get, if you're sitting in reaction, you can't get into the present moment, okay? But if you, at that point, then you go to the root of it. Remember we spoke about being the root of it? So in the first month of OMG, we did reclaiming power. So that whole day was, what does reclaiming power, what do you do? In a nutshell, what you want to do, the reason you have something to reclaim is because it's separate to you. You've disowned it, right? The moment you've owned it, you've become one with it. So when you have an emotional reaction, rather than push it away, what I do is I allow myself to sit with the reaction that I'm having, okay? And let me define that a bit more clearer. I don't sit with the reaction, although that's what I just said. It's not the clearest word to say. I sit with the feelings, okay? Because some people would sit with the reaction, okay? When you're sitting with the reaction, nothing's happening. You're just fueling the reaction, all right? When you're sitting with the feeling, you're no longer thinking about why you're feeling this. So the story starts to become irrelevant. You're sitting with the feeling. And what happens is when you start to sit with the feeling and sitting with something or giving space to something, because that's what you're doing. When you sit with something, you're giving space. Giving space means you're allowing it to be there. So if you're approaching this feeling with the intention of getting rid of it, okay, all you're doing is causing a reaction, okay, equal and opposite force. So your intention is not to get rid of it, the intention is to sit in it. Very different. You know, have you ever got a heavy massage? I've got a guy who comes and gives me like deep tissue massage, and I love it. I like nice soft massages, right? But this guy, you know, because I do a lot of sport training and stuff, I get the deep tissue massage. And I love it because I get to practice sitting with the physical pain. So I notice when he's getting in there, it's like, oh my God, like just so much pain. And then he always goes, breathe it in. What does breathe it in mean? You know, no, he's not saying suck it in. He's saying breathe it in. In other words, embrace it. So what I'm doing, I'm like breathing in, and what happens is I can still have the awareness of the pain, but I'm no longer feeling the reaction of oh, stop it, you know. I'm not having that reaction anymore. When he's like in there, I feel like just going, like there's stuff coming up for me. Like I'm starting to sweat, and I'm like, but then I'm like breathing in, and I feel myself open up to it. The pain's still there, but I'm no longer having the reaction to it. That's what it means to embrace the pain. Okay? So when you embrace the pain or you give space to the pain, what happens is the two, because at the moment the reason you're experiencing pain is because there's two, it's disowned part. The disowned part joins one with who you are and becomes owned.
Sorry, you're kind of losing me. Can you give me like an actual example? Like, for example, I have a friend who like pisses me off all the time because she doesn't accept responsibility for her life. So I get the kindergarten level of that is I don't accept responsibility for something in my life, but it continually comes up, and I'm wanting to.
How do you feel about her not taking responsibility?
Angry.
Okay, what are you angry about? Why does it make you angry?
Because I just get frustrated with her. It's the same shit, different day. And I get that that's my own. Like I can see myself doing that too, but then what can you see yourself doing too? Well, I see myself not accepting responsibility as well, and I see that pisses me off that she does it because I'm doing it.
But are you wanting to accept responsibility, or are you wanting to let go of this idea of accepting responsibility?
I don't know. I just want to let go of the anger that I feel towards her. So I know that I need to do something myself, but now I'm struggling with what you're saying and how to do that.
Okay, can I just go straight to the point?
Yeah.
You're not angry, right? You're not angry about, you're not looking to take responsibility for your life. Do you understand? There's a reason that you're not taking responsibility. There's a reason why you are, rebelling about the idea of taking responsibility. Because taking responsibility is actually, in your reality right now, is actually, what that means, it means confining your heart. Because your heart wants to be set free, all right? And to set yourself free, you need to actually let go of the idea of being responsible. So your friend is reflecting what you want to actually do. If I go straight to the point, but I didn't answer. If I didn't answer your point there, all right. How you get to the point that I just saw straight through right now is by being able to. Excuse me. Hang on. You need to listen to month 1 of OMG, Reclaiming Power, because I just gave you a little bit of it right there. I just put it in a nutshell. But if you can listen to month 1, it will be really supportive for you, okay? But in this case right now, your friend is pissing you off because you want to do what she's doing. Can you see that?
I can, yeah, thank you.
Okay. But what I just did is I just caught the fish for you. I didn't teach you how to fish. Do you understand? Yeah. I just went straight to the point, otherwise we'd be here for a little bit longer, right? I went straight to the point, and because I could feel it. You're speaking, it's open, I can feel it, right? You want to do that. You want to let go of the idea of what you need to be responsible. You want to let it rip a little bit and bring yourself out. So she's reflecting that, and you're angry because you're like, stop it, we need to be responsible. But the idea is for you to get to that realization. And for you to get to that realization, you need to sit with the feeling, all right? Or if you like, if you have the capacity, bring yourself into the present moment. So sitting with the feeling brings you closer to the present moment, because the feeling is the door, or is the surroundings of the present moment. You're having a reaction towards something out there. The actual feeling is the root. Your emotional reaction is the roots. Go to the roots, and I didn't say pull the roots out, I said sit with the roots. Go sit in the roots. Now, it's more difficult to do that because it's easier to be within the end of the roots because it's not so potent. When you go to the roots, all right, of that feeling, it becomes more potent. But if you continue to sit through it, what happens is you drop into the now. Hang on, you don't have a microphone. Wendy.
So that make that feeling go?
But the idea is not to make the feeling go. The idea is to take space to the feeling. What is space? We spoke about this last month. The space is love. So when you're taking space to the feeling, you're actually bringing love to the feeling.
So is that a part? I'm in a similar situation, and mine is my son, and he just refuses to take responsibility. And when you were speaking, it brought up all of this stuff with me, and that I feel like I have to take responsibility, not only for myself, but for him too. And it's been hard for me to do that.
Well, take responsibility then. What's wrong with you taking responsibility? What does it mean to take responsibility for your son?
I'm always backing him up and supporting him.
So what does it mean to take responsibility for yourself?
Sometimes I don't want to take responsibility for myself. And I'm not sure why. I do, and I always have.
And your son's not taking responsibility for himself?
No.
So then he's just mirroring that.
Yeah, that's what I could see. And I got really angry last night with him.
But with Jane, it's something a little bit different. She's manifesting a friend to not take responsibility, but her anger is not about her friend not taking responsibility. Her anger is about that she wants to let go of the idea of taking responsibility.
Well, that's what triggered in me, is maybe it's the idea of not wanting to take responsibility.
That's up to you to work out.